aside because he's not playing with Furia today. I believe when it comes to World's Edge and some of these early fighting, they get punished really easily, and we've been seeing so many of these 50-50s already on Stormpoint. What 50-50s are we going to see here on World's Edge?
That is all right. The question. I'm interested to see. And obviously we saw G2 with a consistent 50-50 against BR Demons. World's Edge usually is a little bit more calm in early games. Teams are not going to not as often to contest, but we will see if that's the case here. Take a look at the drop ship overhead map right now on display. Lava Siphon will get a little bit of extra loot. And the new TSM drop spot. No longer dropping Fragment East. They gave it up after years of dominating the east side of the Fragment town. TSM says, hey, let's Alpha instead over towards Lava Siphon, and they've basically earned the entirety of Lava Siphon. The only team that contests is Sentinels, but since Sentinels stock really crashed over the last year, TSM was able to take it from them.
That's so funny for you to say that, Paula, because I remember you and I had talked about the Fragment East loot for so long that there was that bit of that ghost buff to help out the loot there, and now TSM is like, now, you know what, we want all the loot in Lava Siphon. And I don't even blame them, because not only do they get the loot in Lava Siphon, that's always so nice to see, they also have the potential chance of getting the beacon without having to split up their drop to go to No Name, where you currently see Gambit situated in with Sang and Blake Yu, that's north on Overlook. So they have not only the beacon and No Name, but they got the beacon and Overlook too. So TSM taking a page out of that book in their safe POI of Lava Siphon before determining where they want to rotate.
That's right. On the flip side, Tripods getting the Skyhook drop. And they're going to have to split that with two other teams. A lot of times you see two teams total split Skyhook, but it's going to be Team Liquid, their notorious Trials and Skyhook West drop. You're going to have Team Stops and Co, the rookies, aka the bots, dropping North Skyhook, and then the Tripods dropping East Skyhook. So they'll split some loot. They also have a crafter to their name, which they'll be able to kind of occupy. And guess what? The zones will be pulling their way as well. It'll be a northern zone. Typically, these northern zones end up pulling towards Skyhook. So this is a really, really good zone and good start for the Tripods, for Team Liquid, and the fact that the Tripods are running Watson as well, they can get the best real estate in this lobby, and they could basically just bunker up with fences, and they'll be well set and well positioned for late game.
Yeah, it's also really good news for Furia too, that are rotating away from Countdown, away from the line of sight of Dark Zero, who are also already looking to Skyward dive their way into Skyhook. That means that we're about to have, what, 5-6 teams already in Skyhook within the first few seconds of the game. Ring 1's going to be closing in 3 minutes and 50 seconds behind some of these players, but you can see how Tripods is already able to get a nice overlook of this left side of Skyhook, because it's going to be contested, and it's going to be contested fast.
You know, the controller players a little slow to loot compared to the mouse and keyboard players, and as a result, they might actually lose some of the best real estate, some of the best buildings here on the north side of Skyhook. Atlanta Premier is going to take one of them. Furia likely is already rotated, going to take another. Team Liquid will take another, but an early fight is going to ensue. Another crypto in this lobby is going to actually tag up all three members for all of their shields of the Atlanta Premier. They should be able to heal back up, and we'll see if a team decides to ape or push. It looks like Atlanta Premier will be posting up with Watson.
Right here, got one.
I'm wondering who's going to take up the real estate that's north of Trials in that lot that is unclaimed by a lot of squads that like to hang out in Skyhook. I believe Furia may be rotating behind Trials, so they'll have to inevitably fight against a squad like Dark Zero, who wants to contest them after their Skyward dive. Atlanta Premier, though, have situated themselves with some free real estate inside of this building. With the Watson ult, they're going to be able to fence up the perimeter, as well as utilize Hill to boost up some of their Evo shields with the EMPs if they're looking to grief any of these teams.
Yeah, I'd love to do just a quick whip around of a couple other teams nearby. I'm not sure which team is ahead of them that's also running crypto. We know that the Team Liquid boys are probably in the vicinity. We know that the Tripods squad was probably able to take some real estate. Here we go. Love this whip around view. Not necessarily a Skyhook just yet, but instead we'll take a look as TSM finds himself trying to grief a team on rotate. Did they get a knock? No, not just yet, but a couple shots of damage done from TSM, who'll be playing Edge here on rotation.
TSM taking their time to rotate on the outskirts. You see ESA over in Big Mod. See, there's no Optic in this lobby here, Fallout, so it's not Optic that are going to be able to claim all the good loot in Big Mod. Instead, it's going to be Esports Arena, so they're going to be able to walk away with some Big Mod guns before making the rotation into this next circle, but they will be playing on the outskirts right behind TSM, so they either going to slow rotate this, or they're going to have to deal with TSM circle keeping them on the outskirts of that next circle.
Yeah, that was really interesting. TSM actually doubled. Maybe they had intel we didn't know, or maybe they did their research, or maybe it's the coaching of Raven, but they double backed towards Big Mod and tried to maybe actually grief a few kills. That's kind of the Optic Gaming special. They are able to occupy this entire southeast side of the map and really use that as a way to take 3v3s on edge without risk of getting third party. TSM trying to do the same thing against ESA with Optic not in this lobby, but not able to get the kill points that they needed. So they'll be content just rotating through. TSM are going to continue to play edge. Meanwhile, Dark Zero with a very fast rotation to the northwest side of the map. They'll take this northwest control tower, and with a charge rifle in the hands of Zero from Dark Zero, it's going to put them in a really, really good opportunity to make sure that no one can push behind them, and they will have a clear rotate to the north side of the map.
Oh, I love this position too, especially looking at the weapon loadouts that we see Dark Zero rocking, the charge rifle on the sniper tower, as well as making sure that they can clear some space for themselves, and the other squads are going to either be rotating from the back end of Trials or north in that lot that I was mentioning before, where I believe Furia is situated in. As we take a look at other squads making their rotation from the east side of the map, that's going to be E8, C9, Season. Now, with the Skyward Dive looking to find some place to stay, some place to call home. They're going to get pinged, though, at the same time by E8, but they're going to have to divert their attention because it is C9 that is meeting them up in the north side of the train tracks.
Yeah, so we'll have an E8, C9, two-letter acronym fight in the north side of the map in train tracks. The rotate's going to come through. And back down towards Landslide, where we know a couple teams will be coming through. TSM, whether they took the Landslide rotate or Fragment West rotate, we'll find out. But nonetheless, there's going to be a couple teams coming from that side of the map. We'll have to be a little careful as we switch on over. And they work their way back up towards Skyhook. Do they get this building for free? Yes, they do. All right, not a bad situation here. For EA on a relatively late rotate, they still find a good position.
Follow, can we talk about this? Mercy, he's bringing out the Cuzzy, okay? He's bringing out the Fusey out here, and he's got the Massive in his hand as well that he managed to capture from a crate. So they're rocking the composition that we were talking about before, that Raven wanted to see TSM rock before, but, you know, How came out on top from that 1v1, and it's obviously doing them justice looking at the last two wins that they've gotten. I mean, come on. Energy are playing out of the outskirts of that lot that I had mentioned, the no-name lot that is to the side of Dark Zero that Furia has taken over. Energy do like to play on the higher ground on the other side of these railroad tracks to get out of trouble, but this is a tricky one to play out of because you can expect other squads to try to take advantage to the underside of the train tracks, rotating through the north side of Skyhook. So Energy may find themselves in a fight if they're not too careful, which would be the green light for Furia to try to contest them.
Yeah, that's a good point. We got Energy, Furia, and Dark Zero within the vicinity of the northwest side of the map, northwesternmost side of the map. We know that Dark Zero will be the ones manning the rear of the three caboose train. A couple shots and pings from Furia. That's probably Furia nearby. Based on rotates and drop spots, Furia drops countdown, is known to rotate really, really quick to the northwest side of the map. We'll keep an eye on some other teams here, but this will be a slow game. 20 squads still remain, and that's pretty common. Whenever you see a Skyhook finish, you're not going to see a lot of early game fights because everyone's pretty much able to find a position, and there's not going to be many forced fights. People can kind of just camp or post up in their respective buildings of Skyhook, so you don't see a lot of those early game fights on rotate that you'd expect otherwise.
Here we go. C9, though, playing on the outskirts with Zach Mazer taking so much damage. C9 still playing off of only 2 blue Evos, while Zach Mazer is forced to reset with the Phoenix kit. They need that suppressed fire right behind them. As you can see, TSM are hearing the whiffs of the shots to their south, but they're not involved just yet. They may actually come in to sandwich C9, which is going to spell doom for C9 if they don't realize it.
Yeah, that could be really, really interesting. TSM nearby may enter the fray. On board now with Stay Naughty. And there's a big question. The same way that we wondered what type of impact Vice will leave in his absence of Alliance in EU is the question for Alberlelli in Cloud9. What type of impact did Alberlelli have? Was it Zach as the IGL or Alberlelli as the IGL that made the impact on this team? We'll have that question answered in this Pro League as FaZe Clan will play up against Cloud9 in our Group B versus C matchup coming up later this season. But for now, it's Group A versus B, and it's TSM on top with 40 points. They decide not to third party and rotate themselves back to the same spot that we know E8 was at nearby with the Fuse on their hands. Rep still on Seer. No Fuse and no 1v1-1 for Raven on World's Edge. We'll see if that changes, though, going into games 5 and 6 if they don't do well here.
It's back to the lab again, all right? And TSM are just going to be able to be patient. I like the call on the disengage, though, at the very end, not trying to put themselves in a vulnerable position when they have information on where the circle is going to be pulling. So why not utilize that? Why not take advantage of that? With Verholz getting that scan for the rest of the squad, you can see the ping coming down before they determine how they want to rotate into this next circle, because there's still so many squads that have taken up the building real estate of the left side of Skyhook. I mean, I'm even expecting James, Fearless, and Co. to actually take control over that beacon building, as you can see right there.
Yeah, as we have the overhead map, looks like we do have a Loba. We just saw Black Market on display, so one team is running Loba. Not sure which squad it is. But you got your wish, girl. We got a little Loba on World's Edge. Is it TL? Did TL go Loba?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I really would not be surprised, because they tried out the Loba on World's Edge before, but they shifted away from it during LAN. They didn't feel comfortable because they knew that everyone was going to know it was them, and they didn't want to get isolated because of that. But maybe because they've been finding that success with the Loba, they've been feeling a little bit more comfortable with it. We're just going to have to see and wait.
I'm just so confused. How did TSM manage to just waltz their way into center zone? You see the top left. This is where the zone's going to be closing in on. It's the next zone. We get the beacon info. They just walk their way into the zone and a decent building in position. Obviously, this building is one of the most susceptible buildings because the windows are not enclosed, but that's insane. That TSM just rotated for free right there.
Hey, we take it. Take the 5-finger discount real quick when it comes to these rotations, as Stay Naughty has got to reset real quick. C9 also taking a very patient approach, but it is nice to note with the circle pulling towards Furia, towards Energy, these two teams stay being on top and calling out where the circle is going to pull. It could have pulled towards Dark Zero by the sniper tower. We have seen end circles end on that side of Trials, but with it pulling on the absolutely other side of Trials, now Dark Zero could claim Trials. Furia could still stay in that real estate empty lot that is south of Energy, and teams like C9 are going to have to go for a longer and wider rotation in the line of sight of other squads that are already inside these buildings.
It's almost like TSM paved the way for them, as they're just following the same exact path and route that TSM had moments ago. But guess what? TSM did it first, so they have themselves the position. Is there, I think, in the building right in front of them, or at least nearby. C9 not in zone as it currently stands, but should be fine. They got a minute to get themselves there, but this might be our first fight of the game. The fact that we are like, what, 15 minutes into the game and still haven't had a single person die. No one has died. 60 players alive in this lobby. Tell me this is a Skyhook finish without telling me this is a Skyhook finish.
That, and you could tell like everybody feels at home right now on World's Edge. The way that they're all approaching this next circle, despite not even having a building themselves. You see C9 taking some pressure, but like you said already, Toy Squad's still up and alive, and we may have just cast a curse Bowser because he does get dropped, but he doesn't get finished just yet.
Level 3.
And this zone is most likely going to continue pulling northwest. So the teams that rotated far north predicted correctly. And the reason I say that is because I see Energy and Furia there, and they're very good at predicting these late game zones. They obviously had a chance to pick their sweet spot. Meanwhile, so many teams are clumped in Skyhook. It is traffic upon traffic right now. It's like the rush hour in Chicago here, 4 p.m. on a Friday. Right? With C9 getting some damage at least. Some damage is done. No one's knocked yet, but some damage has been done here in this game.
Yeah, you know, it is a Sunday here, but C9 looking to see some fireworks landing right in front of them. I mean, they had that player land in front of them, and they find Impulse, a dirty Impulse.
We did it.
The first player to drop in this lobby, right? 59 players still up and alive, which means Impulse's squad is still looking to survive until the very end. Maybe they could get his banner, maybe they could get him right back in this fight, because there's still that beacon available to them right next door.
All right, well, hey, first kill comes through. One player eliminated as round 4 starts. Let's jump into a listen to know with Cloud9 as Rocker's gonna get knocked. You're under some duress.
Fight. I got nades there, good nades! Great nades! Go up if you want. Go in zone, in the zone, bro. Chill on him. No.
What?
Bro.
Tilted and frustrated right now? I don't know what to say.
We don't have to be up.
Tilted and frustrated. If that doesn't define the Cloud9 vibes right now, I don't know what does. You hear it directly from them.
It's the back and forth of the elevator comms to like disheartening comms. That's what does it for me. Rack Attack though, now with Rakinishu being the last one alive, looking to see, he did recover Impulse's banner, but has not been able to recover Bowser's banner. Let's see if he is going to be able to do that, to see if maybe he could get them both right back in the fight. He is going to be able to get that banner, but he gets scanned in the process.
Yeah, he's going to have to use his ultimate to give himself a hope. What's so crazy about that, this is why you love Apex, that was a 2v3, Vicky. They knocked Impulse and killed Impulse right away. Rocker gets knocked, I'm not sure why or how, but basically for free, which makes it a 2v2, and ultimately Naughty and Zach are not able to win that 2v2. Zach was ultimately left in a 1v2, so it wasn't really on him, but it was Rocker that got caught out. Okay, we didn't see what happened, but you can't lose 2v3s here in ALGS Pro League at this level of play. Those are two costly mistakes.
Especially when they took their time to rotate into that circle, right? We see Season now in some trouble themselves. Now taking control over the high ground. 0 for 0. Look at this. Lighting up the sky for some of these other squads to get involved. The squad that is holding on to that sniper building in the middle of Skyhook gets to see an overhead of some of the other teams that are forced to rotate into that next circle, like E8 playing off the low ground. None of these squads want to poke their heads, though, while the Zero is out and active. So a nice patient approach, while Season are going to just be able to redeploy out of there.
Here comes a redeploy from Season. And this is, again, always a scary late-game redeploy because every other team is doing the same exact thing. You see two or three other teams in the skies. Will you find a suitable position is the question. They find a fence, they find low ground, and they're alive in zone right now. Without a Watson to their name, though, which is a bit scary. They don't have a lot of defense here, Vicky.
They don't, and they're tossing out these arc stars. It's also a nice little check to see if the Watson ult is active inside of the building, and it is, so they are going to be able to delete that real quick. Nice little peek of information for Klein, who also has been having a dominating performance today. Let's not forget what Klein did to NRG in game number 1, as now the Crypto EMP comes in. Wait a minute, the Watson fences are still up. It was their EMP that manages to now put in some extra pressure to Season. Now they're forced to wrap around the building, but they're in the line of sight of other squads that are in the area, but they're so busy fighting all these other teams. E8 complexity as Klein gets that knock.
Yeah, it's absolute beams from Klein. He's able to get the kill for free. G2 gets taken out to the hands of TSM, who I believe are all still alive and well. 12 squads remain. This is what happens in these late game zones. You go from 20 teams to 11 so quick. NRG gets a few as well. Oh my gosh, Klein is not missing right now. The black hole comes and Klein says, I'm out, but he gets sucked right back in. Somehow able to survive, but no, he's finally gonna get knocked. All of Mr. Hockeylo, goodbye. See you later. Enemy with the 3K. Huge plays from Atlanta Premier and Enemy.
Atlanta Premier have been here since the very beginning. Let's not forget when they originally skyward dived to get onto this building. They had the EMP, so they had the information as well as the extra pressure, and now they know that there's still that squad that's trying to reset to the right. Enemy, though, now finding the beamage real quick. Atlanta Premier looking to continue their domination after exiting out of Storm Point.
I just gotta take a moment to say, welcome to the ALGS Enemy. The young teenager, Mexican-American, rookie, potentially of the year if he can keep up this performance for the entirety of Pro League, is showing up big time today. Atlanta Premier in second place right now behind TSM, looking to take back the first place spot. But Enemy is going to have to do it on his shoulders. Right now, Team Smiley, Gambit, and Song, last two alive, will take themselves some high ground and will enter the fray, but the scan's going to come through. All the intel is had for Seer. Nice use of the thermite ray there to break ice for Gambit, but he is going to be tagged out.
Oh, he managed to get some cover at the very least, so that way he could reset, maybe get that res at the same time. But Atlanta Premier, they're not holding on to the brakes anytime soon. They're still trying to fully send it in, as Hill is forced to back off just a little bit to pop that shield bat. Here comes Crook to change spots with him, though. You see the crack immediately onto that horizon. The Valkyrie also cracked. They need to look to their backs to the squads that are now trying to desperately rotate outside of the circle.
They're looking so good right now, kind of like KCP last series in EMEA. They're playing together incredibly well. TSM all alive and well as well. Meanwhile, there's about 7 or 8 teams left in this lobby. Make it 7. VR Demons eliminated. TSM with the beams. The team firing is going to come through. Tripods are out in 8th. It all comes, sorry, in 7th. It all comes down to this TSM fight. The Horizon ult's going to come through, and it's going to be perfection. What a good ult from NRG, griefing TSM.
NRG are looking to still dominate, but the repositioning, though, with the master. You can see Nathan backing away as he is literally one-shot popping the shield back. Sweet, though, isn't going to let loose. He's right alongside Guild. Remember, the side-by-side between both these players, the follow-ups as they clean up TSM. Box is going to meet them right back in the lobby, and we got 4 squads left. Dark Zero getting involved with NRG right to their right.
Atlanta Premier is one of them. The new kill leader is Enemy with 5 or 6. They are dominating, but NRG needs a pop-off game, and they're getting exactly that. 3 kills as a team, and they're looking to take home a first-place finish. 3 squads remain. I think Atlanta Premier is one of them, alongside Dark Zero and NRG.
Let's see what they end up doing. The Energy holding onto the high ground right now. Dark Zero losing out on Jen. Still members of Dark Zero up and alive with 3 squads remaining like you were mentioning before. They get taken out. Now Energy Sweep playing up on the back end. What is Energy gonna do against a squad that is rotating outside of Skyhook?
Yeah, it's going to be, I think Atlanta Premier is the last squad here. They're, oh my god, what a nade.
Ooh,
2 nades from
huge.
Nathan. Such good damage. And that'll be a cleanup. NRG with 6 points after 3 games drops a 20-plus point game, I believe. A massive showing from NRG here in this one. We got to bring Rain Day back to break down the action, but wow, what a game from NRG.